this woman hatched a sinister plan to kill her rich husband. She persuaded her husband to jump into a river surrounded by fierce crocodiles. The husband did not float up, even after being under the water for a long time. Dia thought her wish was finally coming true. If her husband dies, she will get property worth thousands of crores. But just then, the old man came up from the river. In fact, he knew how to swim. He was just having some fun with his wife. But the cruel Dia is not a girl who gives up so easily. She said to her husband again, show me a cliff diving. The rich husband thought nothing more at his beautiful wife's sweet words. He went straight to the top of the high mountain. He took a deep breath and jumped down to the water. But this time, the results were terrible. This time, the rich husband never floated on the water again. He looked around, but there is no sign of her husband anywhere. He smiled happily when he realized that his plan had succeeded. He imagined that from now on his life would be a life of wealth and freedom. But just then he had a thing in his head. Terrible things came. He suddenly thought he didn't know how to ride a speedboard. Meanwhile, the boat is floating in the river. Panicked, Dia quickly took out her mobile phone and wanted to call the police. But there is no mobile network in this deep forest. Trembling with fear, he screamed loudly. But no matter how much he screamed, there was no answer. There is only a quiet forest all around. In the midst of this loneliness and fear, Dia sat in the corner and began to cry hysterically. Time is passing slowly. He's been stuck in this boat for 2 hours. Finally, he realized he couldn't sit like that, so he tried to drive the speedboard himself. Pressing the button in an oddly random way, he accidentally picked up the boat's dirt. Then, after making another mistake, the speedboard suddenly started moving at full speed. But instead of moving forward, the boat swung madly in the same place. Seeing this scene, Dia almost went crazy with fear. Seeing no way, he stood up and started screaming. Just then, the boat was about to hit the rocks on the shore. Terrified, Dia hurried to the driver's seat and unlocked the key. But because of the excessive fear, he trembled, and the key fell straight into the river. The boat stopped, though, but as she looked up, Dia saw a horrific sight. There is a huge waterfall in front of me. Seeing this, his face turned pale. He realized that in no time, the boat would fall straight down the waterfall. So, he quickly packed his bags and went into the cabin of the boat. He sat in the corner and prayed that a miracle might happen. Oddly enough, Dia's luck was good this time around. This waterfall was not very high. After the boat fell into the river, the current pushed him back to the shore. Relieved, he quickly took out his mobile phone from his bag. But unfortunately, there is still no network on mobile. He screamed in frustration. After a while, he calmed himself down a little. First, he took out an eye patch from the bag and put it on his eyes. Then drink a few sips of strong wine to boost your courage. And he understood that if he sat like this, death was certain. It's better to go into the forest and try to survive. Maybe that's his last chance to live. As soon as this thought came to his mind, he stood in front of the mirror. Myself, She made up her makeup beautifully. Then she wore a bright red dress. He wore high heels that were centimeters high. Then Dia started walking straight towards the deep forest, filled with danger. But before he had gone far, he saw the footprints of some strange creatures on the ground. He looked at the footprints and saw a huge bear drinking water by the river in front of him. Seeing this scene, Dia was completely frightened. Just then, the bear raised its head and saw Diane. The next moment, the bear started running towards him. Dia ran like a madman in fear, but he was on his feet, high heels, so he couldn't run for long. Suddenly, he lost his balance and fell to the ground. Meanwhile, the bear had almost reached him. Terrified, Dia quickly took off her high heels and threw them at the bear. Strangely enough, the bear was suddenly attracted to the smell of the shoe. He went to his shoes and started drying and licking like crazy. At this opportunity, Dia quickly got up and ran and hid inside the jumble. In this way, he narrowly escaped death. Slowly, evening descended. The temperature in the forest began to drop rapidly. From winter to survive, Dia tried to light a fire with wood like a primitive man. But even after all the rubbing, there was no fire. His hand was almost broken. In the end, he couldn't find a way out, and he jumped and tried to keep his body warm. Just then, he saw some movement in front of him, where it looked like a white carnivorous creature was standing. Frightened, Rhea immediately ran, but due to the darkness, he suddenly stumbled on the trunk of a tree. He fell to the ground and fainted. The next morning, Dia slowly regained consciousness. Then he realized it was the white creature from last night. In fact, it was a small innocent fox. But after such a horrific incident, Dia is now very hungry. His stomach seemed to stick to his back. Unable to find a way, he took out his mobile phone from his bag and started looking at pictures of food. He thought maybe it would fill his mind a little, but on the contrary, his appetite increased. Suddenly he saw a bottle of foundation in his bag. Hungry, he poured it into his mouth. But the next moment, he got bored and threw it all up. When Dia didn't know what to do, the little fox next to her seemed to understand her problem. The fox began to walk forward. Dia is behind him, went backwards. After going some distance, they came to a water source. Thirsty, Dia quickly picked up the water and took a big sip of it. Not only that, many strange little mushrooms have grown nearby. It looked pretty tasty. Hungry Dia picked up the mushrooms without thinking. Then he cut them into small pieces with a piece of wood and sprinkled perfume and used it like a spice. Then he began to eat the mushrooms with joy. For a while, Dia's hunger was satisfied, but within a short period of time, started to turn its head. It's going around. He even saw, the old little fox looks like he's become a human. In fact, Rhea had eaten some kind of poisonous mushroom. His eyes darkened as the poison spread through his body. The next moment, he fainted again. Luckily, he didn't eat too many mushrooms. After a while, he regained consciousness. Dia started walking through the woods again. Suddenly, he was surprised to see smoke rising from the forest. He thought that where there was smoke, there might be people too. Expecting this, he quickly ran towards the smoke. But when he got closer, he was disappointed. Which is that, eh? It's not smokes from human cooking. In fact, a large tree caught fire on its own in the scorching heat. Just when Dia was completely disappointed, the huge burning tree suddenly collapsed towards her. Fortunately, the tree didn't fall into a vital part of his body. He survived. But his lower part got stuck under the trunk of the tree. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get himself out. Just then, the little fox came back. He continued to dig holes in the ground, over and over again. It was as if he was showing Dia a way to live. Dia immediately understood. He's like a fox. He began to dig holes in the ground. After hours of trying, he was finally able to get out from under the tree. Freed, he picked up the fox in his arms, because this little creature saved his life. Before leaving, he took a burning wood with him. Because of the fire, at least he didn't have to suffer from the cold that night. But suddenly there was a loud thunder in the sky. Before Dia could understand it, it started raining heavily. Seeing no way, Dia took refuge in a cave with the fire. He thought he was going to spend the night here somehow. Mondi, after entering the cave, he finally closed his eyes to rest for a while. But suddenly, he felt as if someone was licking his legs. Surprised, he sat up and looked around, and then he realized the horrible truth. He had actually entered a rat hole. There were so many rats roaming around. Seeing this, Dia screamed. In fear, she quickly ran to get out of the cave. But out of excessive fear, her legs suddenly slipped and she was straight. He fell between the rats. Seeing so many rats moving on the ground, Dia almost went crazy with fear. He somehow managed to get out of the cave while he was eating. It was raining heavily outside. Standing in the rain, he looked up at the sky and started screaming. Dia never thought she would be punished for killing her husband. The next morning, Dia, who was fast asleep, was suddenly awakened by the sound of a speedboat. He looked up and saw a speedboat passing through the middle of the river. Excited, she immediately screamed. But the distance was so great that the people on the speedboat couldn't hear anything. Dia saw that her only hope was slowly fading away. Frustrated, he quickly took off his clothes and waved his hand, gesturing. Strangely, this method really worked. Some of the hunters on the speedboat finally spotted him. Luckily, they seemed to be good people at first. When they heard the whole story, they promised to rescue him and even gave him some cannabis to eat. But when they heard that Dia had come to hang out here with her husband drowned in the river because he didn't know how to swim. Then a bad thought arose in the minds of some of the men. Suddenly, they forced Dia. He was dragged into the woods. Their intention was to force him. At this moment, Dia realized that she herself had boarded the pirate's boat. He apologized to them again and again. But it didn't help. Just then, one of the miscreants pulled out a knife and threatened Dia, "Shut up or I will kill you." But the next moment, something strange happened. The miscreant suddenly vomited blood and fell to the ground because a brave woman came at the right time and attacked her. This woman is actually a forest guard of this forest, dear. Upon learning of the danger, he quickly took Dia and started fleeing in a speedboat. But this scene was seen by other miscreants, which they immediately chased them with their speedboats. The fierce chase began. The angry miscreants also opened fire. Fortunately, the bullets did not hit them as the distance was long. At a critical moment, the forest guard woman, using her extraordinary boating skills, used a rock cover to dodge the miscreants for a while. But the miscreants are so easily let go. Nope. One of their companions died. They want revenge. The forest guard quickly brought the boat to the shore to escape. The boat was then hit by bullets and was emitting smoke. He told Dia to run faster, but Dia was still sitting inside the boat and was stunned. Luckily, the forest guard Aber came back and dragged Dia down. Shortly thereafter, the smoky speedboat exploded violently. Then the two of them began to flee through the forest. But after not eating well for a few days, Dia became so weak that the forest guard bit. Instead, he began to blame the forest guard, saying, "I wouldn't have died, but you killed their partner. If they catch us now, I'll die too." Hearing this, the forest guard became very angry. He could not have imagined that the person he had saved by risking his life would be so ungrateful. He couldn't control himself anymore in anger. He grabbed Dia and gave her a few punches and kicks. Payne and Dia quickly apologized. He said, "I'll never say that again." When Dia calms down, the forest guard finally he forgave her. Then the two of them went to the bottom of a waterfall and washed the mud off their bodies. Then they came to the river and sat down to see if any boats were passing. But even after waiting from morning till night, no boat was seen. Good luck. The forest guard had a lot of experience surviving. In a short time, he caught a few small fish. As a result, after a long time, Dia has a full stomach of music food. After finishing their meal, the two of them spent the night leaning together under the branches of the trees. The next morning, the forest guard Didi woke up busy. He started setting up various traps around the forest because he had anticipated that the miscreants would come here to find them very soon. But Deer's behavior was quite the opposite. He wasn't thinking. Instead, he took the makeup out of his bag and got busy adorning his face. Instead of arguing about this, Didi lit a pile of wood with a lighter. After finishing all the preparations, he said to Rhea, "Let's get out of here, right now." Just as he had expected, the smoke from the fire quickly caught the eye of the miscreants. In a few moments they reached the place, but when he arrived, he found that the deer forest guard had already fled from there. Just then, one of the miscreants spotted a leopard-printed mask hanging from a tree branch. He took it down as a memory, but as soon as the mask was pulled, a trap was suddenly activated. Seeing this, his companions rushed to the spot. That's when they realized they had actually fallen into the trap of the opponent's clever plans. On the other hand, the Dia forest guard has already reached the riverbank. They escaped with the speedboats of the miscreants. He was preparing. The forest guard tried his best to push the boat into the water, but Dia was still sitting in the boat, breathless. This made the forest guard's sister very angry. He shouted, "Dia, help quickly. Then Dia finally picked up a book, and the boat was running. But by then it was too late. Just then, a bullet hit the forest guard in the leg. Still, he endured the unbearable pain and pushed the speedboard into the river with all his might. Friteur sefours. Then he begged Dia to come back and save me. But the perpetrators are quick enough seeing it approaching. Dia hid inside the boat in fear. He didn't dare to go out anymore. This is how the forest guard Didi was caught by the miscreants. The forest guard looked at Dia in anger and spat out. And Dia sat in the boat and watched everything coldly. The miscreants then dragged the forest guard into the forest. Their intention was to kill him. But just then the forest guard said, "If you kill me, there will be a terrible curse." Strangely enough, after saying this, there was a sudden storm all around. The miscreants are scared of this scene. Got it. They wondered if this woman was really blessed with miraculous powers. The leader of the party did not believe this and proceeded to strangle him. But just then, one of his own companions attacked him from behind, because he believed that if they killed him, the curse would come down. At that moment, Dia came back again. On this occasion, the forest guard quickly snatched the gun of the miscreant. Then the two of them defeated the other miscreants, after which they returned to the city, where Dia legally inherited her wealthy husband's property worth thousands of crores. Coup d'etat? The forest guard was grateful that she had saved her life, and Dia would take her to the house almost every day, and a few days later, they returned to the forest. Dia spent a lot of money to buy a lot of food because she wanted to thank the little fox who had once helped her. But just as they were leaving the forest, the little fox quietly jumped into the speedboat. He seemed to want to be with them, trilling, mish them. From then on, Dia, the forest guard, and the little fox started a new life together. And this is where the story ends, goes. Please comment on how you liked the story. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get more new videos. Thank you so much for watching the video.